Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all in this lecture number 26 of module 4. So basically, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about system of justice. So we will discuss system of justice, and we will also focus on the problems due to lack of this absence of justice. And then we will find out the appropriate solutions so that justice can be ensured again. So with this, let's start the lecture. So first we will talk about the goal of this system of justice. So let's study what is the goal of system of justice. So number one, every human being should be able to do justice. This is a primary goal of a judicial system, a system of justice. So main role of this system of justice is to ensure ability to live with justice in everyone, or ensure justice at all 4 levels of living. This should be the goal of a judicial system. This should be the goal of a system of justice. And we talked about in previous lecture too, what is the meaning of ensuring justice in mutual fulfillment. It means recognition of the relationship, fulfillment of values, evaluation of those values, and leading to mutual happiness. So we studied in the previous lecture in detail about the meaning of justice. So let's find out this system of justice and problem due to absence of this justice and its solution. So problems and solution in the absence of justice. So everyone tries to develop ability in child so that child can live in a mutually fulfilling manner. But somehow, if the child is not able to ensure this competence to live with justice in this whole process of education, then it gives rise to many problems in the society. So somehow, if the child is not able to develop this competence to live with justice in the process of education, then it gives to many problems in the society. So somehow, if it is missed, the child is not able to live in relationship, the child feels aggressive in themselves. So as a solution, there are 2 main points. Number one, how to develop this ability in those who do not have the ability to do justice. Somehow it is slipped from family, somehow it is slipped from the education system. So first point is how to develop that ability. Second is how to stop the injustice that is currently happening in the absence of this competence of fulfillment of justice. So 2 steps are required. One is to ensure the ability to do justice, and second is to stop this injustice. So the first point is to reform. A reform is required so that those who are somehow not able to ensure justice may understand this justice and live accordingly. Second is to punish and reform. So we are going to discuss both of these points. So let's start with reform and punishment. The only possibility for the first point is to reform. And you can sense that reform is a long-term program. And it is required a right education sanskars. If the person somehow has not gone through this right kind of education, then this ability of do justice has not been developed. By imparting this education, then this program should be run for him. So somehow if it is not ensured, then the whole program of ensuring this justice through the process of exploration, through the process of investigation is required for those people. So this is the reform program, and there are two possibilities for the second point. First is reform and second is punishment. To punish when there is a no way to prevent justice, at least to stop that person temporarily, or the social damage that is being done by that person. So it is required to punish that person, but it is not only the step. It is also required to have a program to reform along with punishment. So only punishment will not work, do not work. A process of reform along with this punishment is required. So punishment is just to stop that person so that he may not be able to damage more in the society. But stopping them through punishment is not enough. Along with this punishment, a process of reform is also required. If this process does not happen, if there is no reform process, then that person may create many problems. So the process of reform with punishment is required. You can sense it through a simple example. Suppose there is your child and your child does some mistake. So two things would be required. One is to stop him immediately, and second is to work on the right understanding of the child so that in future he may understand the right and wrong. So both are required. So reform along with the process of punishment is required, but process of reform is must. If you see the current state of judiciary, so the main goal of the judicial system is to ensure justice in the society. So it is very natural why this judiciary system exists in society. Definitely one of the main goals is to ensure justice everywhere in the society. And for this, what has to be done? For this, there is a need to ensure the development of the competence in the people to do justice through the process of education, where we can facilitate the process of self-exploration, process of self-investigation. We can make them aware through the process of education about the self, about the values. All this is responsibility of this judiciary system. But if you see presently, the judiciary system is not focusing on either of the two. What judiciary system is doing today is active where injustice takes place. So judiciary system works only when injustice takes place. That's why this program is not enough to ensure justice in the society. So this role has to be ensured by the judiciary system. So until we do not ensure this role of judiciary system, the mishappening in the society due to inhuman behavior will be continued. So what would be effective ways of ensuring justice? So ensure that every person is able to do justice. We have to work for education system. We have to work for a humane education system. We need an education that may help a child to develop the competence for doing justice. This kind of education system is required. So if the person is not able to do justice, even after undergoing this kind of education due to his own strong sanskars, so there is a need to support them through the reform education, which may provide special attention in the area of deficiencies. So presently, if the person is doing injustice in society, then he may be punished to act as a deterrent in the society. But we need to pass him through the process of reform simultaneously. So only punishment is not enough to ensure harmony in the society. So with this punishment, a process of reform is required. So judiciary system has to focus on these two aspects too to ensure the harmony in the society. So problems caused due to lack of justice. There are many visible problems which exist due to this lack of justice. And the process of reform is an important step to revive the justice in all those people who are somehow not able to ensure human behavior in his interaction. So the main issue in justice is to live with fulfillment in relationship. So when we are unable to live in this manner, temporarily we can find out some way as a remedy. But that should not be considered as justice. So if we are looking for temporary solution, if we are only trying to punish the people, it may stop injustice temporarily, but in future it will create many problems. So stopping it is useful, but not moving towards the reform education will create many problems in future. So it is important to note that due to absence of feeling of relationship, we keep quarreling over small issues of physical facility. So it has to be cleared. It should be noted that injustice is because of the lack of fulfillment of this feeling of relationship. So if justice has to ensure, the work has to be done on ensuring this feeling of relationship in everyone. Otherwise, people keep quarreling on a very small issues that you can see in the prevalent societies. People fight for few rupees, people murder others for few rupees. People are killing each other for the properties disputes. All these are happening because of the absence of this feeling of relationship. So through this reform education, we can ensure this feeling of relationship in the child. So to resolve this issue of relationship, improvement is required in the sanskars. So the issue is basically, the behavioral issue is because of the sanskars, and this improvement of sanskar is required, essential. Improvement in feeling and thoughts is essential. Ensuring resolution at the level of self is essential. So it is better to do this through formal education itself. So it should be addressed at the level of formal education, informal education, at the level of policy, through reform education, so that the ability to ensure justice in everyone may be ensured. And this reform is possible only through the process of relationship and affection. It is very important point. If the focus is to ensure feeling of relationship in the other, then it can only be happen with the feeling of affection and relationship. So improvement in sanskar cannot happen with fear. So punishment is not the real remedy. So by punishing someone, the other may stop their tendency for temporarily. But if we want to ensure resolution in the other, then the feeling of relationship affection is required. So we try to stop a man committing crime from outside, and if he does not change himself internally, then he either tries to find out suitable conditions or try to create such conditions. So the issue is the sanskar. So if we are not trying to improve the other sanskar, he will try to find out many ways to do corruption, to do unethical things. So it can be stopped temporarily through various process, but in long term, this education of reform is required. So the system of reform must for present day judiciary. So as I discussed, without this kind of education, a person cannot change himself. If we are not doing anything at this point, then the person may become angry, may become aggressive, or try to find out ways to take revenge, and so many things. That's why this system of reform must be present in our judiciary system. Secondly, the family member should be encouraged to support that person, to give them a good environment, who has inhuman behavior. So with the education process, with the reform education, their parents, their family members should be encouraged so that a conducive environment can be provided to that person. So for that, the family members should be asked that they should help them and give him compatible condition that support is strengthening that desire developed during the reform process. So once a human being goes through this kind of reform process, a conducive environment is required to sustain those sanskars, those upgraded sanskar. And in this, the family members can help them through providing a conducive environment for that person. If we do not ensure these things, there are many kind of disputes exist in our society. And most of the disputes are among the brothers or the members of the same family. And it is happening because of the lack of feelings in relationship. So most of the disputes may be sorted out if we start seeing relationship and responsibility towards each other. So that's why focusing on this feeling of relationship, focusing on the ability to develop coexistence with other is an important step that is required from judiciary system. So judiciary system must find out a ways to ensure this feeling of relationship in everyone. So system of justice, if we see at present, there are many problems of the present judiciary system. As you know, people wait for many years to get justice. And during this period, the false witnesses are produced, false medical reports are made. Also, there is a corruption at the level of judge and police department, etc. So all this is happening in the present system. But what is the right solution? The solution is to develop the ability to see the relationship with others. Only with the feeling of relationship, only with the feeling of affection, the qualitative growth in the sanskar can be done. So some provisions for improvement: give importance to Gram Panchayat, village court, so that many disputes are resolved at the level of this Gram Panchayat. There is a need for counseling sessions, meditation process before the trial in the court of law. The matter can be resolved by making a person who are not connected with any proper person. Concept of open jail can be induced where the person may live with their family members. All these kind of steps should be included in our judiciary system. So you take pause, you can find out more steps, you can give more creative ideas, what kind of provision should be included in our judiciary system so that a victim may improve his or her sanskar. So what is to be done at the level of family, at the level of society, at the level of policy to ensure this justice in the society? So healthy dialogue is needed at all the three levels. At the level of family, family clusters, village. So there is a need to create an environment where a healthy dialogue can be done at the level of family, within the group of family. So we can find out a time, we can make a schedule in a week where each and every member of family can discuss their issues with each other. So there should be discussion on positive issues in that meeting. What is required? What has done wrong? Rather than focusing on this issue, the focus should be on what is required. So if we work on what is required, what feelings are required to be free from all these complaints, then these meetings can be held purposefully. And goal of the system is to have the minimum requirement of professions like police, judge and lawyers. And what would be the contribution of those professions? Simply, the purpose of those professions would be to support the family, the village clusters in organizing this meeting, work as a mediator, to monitor whether the feeling of justice is being ensured or not. All this can be done through these professional bodies. So that's all from my side, friends. Thank you very much. Let's meet in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Have a good day.